So, all right, so we have all these properties, or sorry, we have all these variables now. We've gone over the basics. The last thing I wanted to do is show you at least the simplest way to debug your code, and that's just to output something to the console. So what we'll do here is we're going to use something called debug log. And in debug log, we can pass in anything. We can pass in a string. We can pass in another variable. Not all objects will appear correctly in the console, but in this case, let's just do our text that we have here up at the top. And what we'll do is whatever the value of this text is going to show up in our console. Now, before we do that, what we need to do is on our cube, we need to add this script. And we can go into our scripts folder, and we can do hello world, and we can attach it here. We can also remove this component, and we can also drag it like this. So Unity is very drag and drop, so if you prefer drag and drop, that's great, or you can add the component manually. Also, filtering through helps out a lot, so here you can see I typed out hello world, and I can find the script. I usually use the filter the most. Now, we have this script attached, and you'll see here it has a reference to the script, but you'll notice that there's now an input field called text. And this is probably the most important thing to understand when it comes to Unity, configuring game objects and setting everything up, is the fact that this public property will show up automatically in the inspector. If I was to delete this, save the script, come back in, when Unity recompiles, you'll see that hello goes away. I can put anything in here. In fact, if I take all of these variables here, let's copy them, let's paste them, and we'll do public, and we'll make them all public, and I save it. You'll see all of a sudden all these things show up. In fact, what's interesting is that the number values will be values. We can actually increase them by dragging along their name, and the Boolean winds up being a checkbox. Also, if we were to take let's take this vector here and put this vector in here and make this a public vector 3 and save it and come back here on our script, you'll see that now the vector 3 comes up and we have the ability to edit its x, y, and z. Same thing for the arrays too. So this is really important. Let's take this out of here and let's put this up here, and we'll make this a public string array. And we come here, you'll see our array shows up, and because we have it set to 2, it automatically sets its size to 2. We can override this and set its size to 100. We could set it to 1. We could do anything, although this would actually throw an error. So I'm going to undo this code, because here we're trying to set, if I set that to 1 and we tried to access a element inside of an array that doesn't exist, it would actually throw an error. Now let's play this script and we'll take a look at what happens. So in our console, it outputted hello world. So I can say hello Jesse here, rerun the game, and you'll notice that this is now overriding the default value of our class. So our script can contain default values, but we can have specific instances in our game that actually allow us to have their own unique values. So I can change all these values on a per instance setting.